and bring good wishes from Castlemilk Parish Church, and thank you for this opportunity to share with you how we approach pastoral care. I'll begin with a very brief history and bring you up to date with where our congregation is. In that 2012, the congregations of Castlemilk East and West parishes, after a few years of being linked, entered a union and became Castlemilk Parish Church. Last September, we moved into a new purpose-built building in the heart of Castlemilk. The Presbytery agreed to this new building, which was paid for by funding raised by the congregation, plus money received from the sale of the two buildings and the support of the General Trustees. This new building is allowing us to care for our neighbours and community in different ways. Our doors are open 7 days a week, and we're finding that people who wouldn't come to church on a Sunday drop in throughout the week for a chat, looking for companionship and seeking support. So many of the people in our community are vulnerable. They feel excluded, are lonely or isolated, which can be due to things like mental health issues, disability, unemployment, poverty, family breakdowns, which ultimately affect their health and well-being and their feeling of self-worth. The building, its location, and the commitment of the congregation is allowing us to take forward our vision of serving Christ at the heart of the community and engaging with people in new ways. Pastoral care underpins everything we do, supporting those in our congregation and reaching out to the whole community. Pastoral care is provided by elders in a traditional way on a Sunday and through visits to people's homes, nursing homes, hospices, etc. And they identify people who need additional support and support of the ministry team. And they also are linked to various groups and organisations. But in addition to this, we are engaging with people in different ways, providing pastoral care, support and encouragement. And I would like to share a few of these with you today. I'll start with our community meals. Our community meals are held on the first and third Fridays of the month and have been running since we moved into our new building, with the intention of addressing food poverty, loneliness and isolation. Having run a food bank for 2 years, we had not felt the model was right for our community. Our community meals was started to restore dignity to those who need food resources by bringing them into equality with those who may be lacking in social connections. Talking with those who had used our food banks, our local housing associations, local schools and churches in our community, we felt that by providing community meals would allow for more dignity by allowing families to choose to attend, to choose their meal option, and to choose to contribute to the cost of their meal by donation or by volunteering their service in preparing meals, setting up, clearing away and washing up. By including people in running the service, they are able to influence the menu and to feel empowered by their own contribution, which is often removed through receiving charity of others with a food bank donation. At the same time, we are tackling the issues of social isolation. There's usually entertainment on these evenings, and it's a social time where congregation and community come together to eat and build relationships, with approximately 30 to 50 people attending regularly. Started with the support of the congregation, but now funded by the Scottish Government grant, we've been able to provide employment for 5 local people who otherwise would struggle to find employment, which is building their confidence and skills and allowing them to earn an income to support themselves and their families in a dignified way. Our carpenter's workshop was set up to help us engage with the community when building our new building, creating opportunities for people to contribute to the building of the church furniture. The pews from the 2 churches were used to build the wall cross, the communion table and the lectern, and people could go to the workshop and help to make these. The wood was also used to make crosses and hearts, which were given out at the closure of each building. And there's some examples just over in the chair just there. The workshop continues and supports employment for a carpenter, a member of our community, and volunteering opportunities for people with mental health illness, disabilities, those that are unemployed, and those facing other challenges. This work also engages with employment agencies and schools and other support groups, and is giving opportunities for people to gain new skills, build their confidence, and is improving their health and well-being. And the project has also recently been receiving commissions from other churches, and we have order lists for bird boxes, chicken coops, dog kennels, and planters. Our prayers for healing and blessing take place on the third Sunday of the month during our morning worship, and is a way of embracing another aspect of our spiritual life. We use this time of prayer to bless those who are in need, recognising that we are all in need in one way or another. People are invited to come forward to the seats at the front, where a prayer will be said with the laying on of hands, or they can also participate by remaining in their seat and praying, or by joining in the singing. These prayers are led by members of the congregation. In the support of bereavement, we do this in a number of ways. One would be where flowers are sent to families or taken to families who have had a bereavement. We have an annual bereavement service where those who have had a bereavement in the previous year are invited to come along and share that time together, but it is open to all. And the Seasons to Growth programme, which aims to build resilience and bring hope and confidence to adults who have experienced significant change or loss. This programme imparts knowledge, skills and attitudes to enable participants to understand and manage their grief. We have a knitting group who knit prayer shawls. They meet weekly, and as these prayer shawls are being knitted, prayers are said. When they are ready, they are blessed during our intercession prayers and are sent out with love and support of the congregation to those who are to receive them. They go to people who are unable to come to church anymore, the bereaved, sick, lonely, and those who need comfort. We have a prayer list where each week people can be included in this list for those we wish to remember in prayer, and these are included in our prayers for others. In our weekly newsletter, we include the tributes of those who have died, and these are shared with family and friends and bring good comfort to those who receive them. We've recently had baking classes which started, and these have been led by an older member of our congregation who's 81 years old, and she's been passing on her skills and experience to younger women with little or no skills who have started coming around the building during the week to do different things. And they have learned how to bake, and their confidence has been increased. They are now passing these skills on to their own family and friends and have developed a love of baking. This member of our congregation also makes and gifts cakes to members of the congregation, and it was once called her baking ministry. There are also many links that we have made with the community to support local people, some of whom use our building to deliver the work that they do. And these would include Home Start, Weevolution self-reliant groups, various support agencies, the AA group, Castlemilk Churches Together, the Castlemilk Family Day, Castlemilk Against Austerity. Flowers on the Railings is another thing which happens in Castlemilk and is part of what we do. It's an annual service for people of all faiths and none who come together to place flowers on the railings of a hidden garden in remembrance of young people who have died. But over the years, people attended to remember loved ones of all ages. There are other practical ways in which we provide pastoral care. We have a quiet room in the church, and as it says, it's a place where people can go and just find a time out of the buzz of the day. There's also a bed in this room where people can come and rest or have a nap in a safe environment. There's other practical care. assisting people to buy school uniforms so that their children don't feel stigmatised at not having something to start school, cleaning homes, decorating for struggling families. And last year we, in partnership with a local businessman, supported by other businesses and generous donations, hosted a Christmas meal on Christmas Day. It was open to all, and with the support of staff, volunteers and members of the congregation, there were over 40 people come along and enjoyed a meal in the company of others. And meals were also delivered to those who couldn't make it to church. As I say, pastoral care for us underpins everything we do. It's about finding ways to care for our neighbours, our community, and walking with them on the journey, and living out Jesus' greatest commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as you love yourself.
No, I haven't forgotten my slides. No, I haven't forgotten anything that I've listened to today. First of all, I'd like to pay tribute to Dr. Jeffrey for nicking half of my presentation. It's always appreciated. But it actually does show that there is some sort of link between what has been said, the theoretical and the academy side of it, and the practical theology of pastoral care. I'm going to ask two things of you. Who here is in a rural congregation? Would you please stand? Okay, you can go to sleep for the next 7 or 8 minutes. That broadly reflects that 43% of the congregations in the Church of Scotland are rural. I said I was going to ask you to do two things. The second one is this. I want you to turn to somebody behind you, at your side, that you do not know. I'm doing a Donald Trump here. That you do not know. And I want you to look them straight in the eye, and I want you to say, I love you. Please do it. Okay, I think that's quite enough. My churches are available for weddings at a very moderate rate. One thing that I picked up on very much from Ken's talk today was going into other people's places, their personal spaces, their most treasured places. And friends, we go in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. That is why we go. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about not St Mary's Greyfriars Parish, or as it's known in my church of Carlaverick, St Mary's Greyfriars, the big church. I'm going to tell you about the little church, which is the parish of Carlaverick. It's a small congregation, and with small congregations often come big problems. There tends to be a them and us between the community and the churched folk. And members of the church will also have a long knowledge of what has gone before. As a minister, you learn that very quickly in a country parish. You do not know, and you will not know everything that has happened. But the thing you will learn very quickly is that rural congregations tend to have tribal splits based either on family relationships or location. You're always down in Glencapel, minister. You've got 3 other villages, right? So I go to Kelton. You're always in Sherrington or Glencapel. You're never in Kelton, but I'm here now. But that means we were 3rd on the list. We've actually started to pray for each village in turn on our prayers of intercession on a Sunday morning. So hopefully we show that the pastoral care that we provide as a church is not limited by the walls of a church. It is everybody in the parish. We belong to a church which has a territorial ministry, a parish ministry. Our pastoral care extends to Catholics, Baptists, those of no faith, fat people, slim people, tall people, short people. If they live in your parish, they are within your area of responsibility. But a word of caution. Ken touched on it, that there are models of pastoral care. Some folk will say, oh, we have a pastoral care team. Some folk will say, oh, no, we don't like that, we will have this. You cannot simply import one, pull out a box and import a pastoral care model, especially not to a small church. Certainly you can't just take one. Marvellous work, by the way, being done where you are in Glasgow and Castlemilk. It's fabulous stuff. But you can't, for instance, just import that from a church of I don't know how many people to a church with a worshipping congregation on a Sunday morning of about 30 to 35 people. There's just not enough people to do it. So, it's up to the church to decide how it does this thing called pastoral care. As a minister, I take it to my people and say, we're responsible for the pastoral care of this parish. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? It could be the district elder model. It works very well in some places. It could be a pastoral care team, or sometimes, as we've heard, new technology with texts and things like that. One thing to be aware of, and it doesn't absolve us from our responsibility, is there a pastoral care model already in existence in a small parish? And the likely answer is yes. It'll be Jessie, the farmer's wife, who looks after so-and-so, who looks after so-and-so, who looks after so-and-so. And sometimes we have to realise that there's a perfectly good system in place without it having anything to do with the church. So my advice is, build on what is there already and hasten slowly. Do not abandon pastoral care as somehow being too difficult. It is difficult, but it's not too difficult. If you get a pastoral care model up and working in a rural community, elders and other visitors have to know that countryside is absolutely full of eyes and ears. Yeah, I thought that would chime with the country folk that are here. Aye, I see Tams, which I wouldn't combine it like that either. Hundreds of eyes, and that's not just the animals. But people will know, so be careful what you do, and most certainly know when and where is the most appropriate time to go. I can suggest to you in the middle of a harvest is not a good time to go and speak to a farmer about pastoral care. You also need to know how, what, why, and when to engage with organisations that can help you in your job of pastoral care. And the one thing that underpins pastoral care is no gossip. Very few things will make me angry as a minister, but if I hear gossip about people, I really get most upset. And you know, you have to meet people where they are. People are people. We go in the name of Jesus Christ to visit these people. That's why I said, look the person in the eye next to you and say, I love you. Pastoral care in the rural context can be deeply satisfying and helpful because in many cases the population is far more static than it is in a town. But get to know other organisations that can help. The National Farmers Union Scotland, the Royal Scottish Agricultural Benevolent Institution, community councils, parish nursing. We have a parish nurse here. Katrina, stand up please. That is a parish nurse. Speak to her. Parish nursing, especially in a rural area, is worth its weight in gold. It's also worth its weight in gold in my big parish. But remember, most of your parish population will not attend church. Country folk attend church for baptisms, weddings, and funerals. In which case you'll probably have to hire a PA system and have them standing outside in the pouring rain because you'll have hundreds of folk you've never seen before in your life. That's the country way of doing things. So if they don't attend church, you have to take church to them as the elder, as any other kind of visitor, and certainly as the minister. And one other little gem I'm going to give to you today. I actually do it with my big church as well as my wee church. In my small area, Carlaverick Parish, I operate a thing called drop-in. Now, it's a very bad pun because I sit in the inn. And I sit in the inn for an hour and a half every Wednesday morning. Sometimes I get on with work. Other times I drink a cup of coffee and I do the Scotsman crossword because nobody's come to see me. But slowly by slowly, after 15 months, the community are beginning to trust me, whether or not I am their minister as they're part of my congregation. But they come in and they start to speak to me about problems. Now, as Ken gave us the thought of being the midwife, when I get that kind of thing, yes, there are certain things I can help with, but equally, I know when to pass it on to my elders to go and maybe do a follow-up visit. These two I will make available. They are very useful numbers to have. That is a whirlwind tour. Now, you'll notice that I'm not saying we are doing all of this yet. 15 months, I am still getting the measure of my parishes and their needs. Never forget that we go in the name of Christ. You and they are the beloved of God. So my final word is Shalom Aleichem. God bless you all. Thank you.
Right, just to kick off, I'm probably pretty surprised to be up here doing some talking to you. I got my arm rather twisted, I think, by Hong Suk when he was visiting our parish, and I happened to start talking to him over a cup of coffee. I just want to stress that we're very much on a journey, and we're still probably at the early stages of our journey of pastoral work. But there are a few things that maybe we can share a little bit with you of some of the things that we're doing. The first slide, when it comes up, is of our two churches. Queensferry Parish Church is linked with Dalmeny Church as well. So a lot of the pastoral work that we do is across both churches. Our Dalmeny Church it's an absolutely stunning church, and I would very much recommend to you, it's 12th century Romanesque church, Norman Romanesque church, and we would very much encourage you to actually take a little visit. It's absolutely beautiful. What I'm wanting to do first is to give you just a little bit of of geography and sort of demographics of our area. This slide shows you just where we are on the banks of the Forth. We're outside Edinburgh. The red dot is Queensferry Parish Church, which is right at the centre, and Dalmeny Parish Church is at the centre of the other sort of town village, which is on your right-hand side. Within Queensferry, we have 3 primary schools, and there's also a primary school in Dalmeny. We have 4 churches, an Episcopal Church, Roman Catholic Church, and we have South Queensferry and Dalmeny Parish. There's 1 high school, South Queens, that covers the South Queensferry area, Dalmeny, Kirkliston, Winchborough, and also the surrounding villages. Our population is around and about 9,026. This was from the 2011 census. It's growing. We have 2 very significant housing developments at the moment being built. Next slide. Oh, sorry, slide before. Thank you. We have 1 full-time minister. His name is David Cameron and may be known to some of you here. And we have 1 part-time honorary associate. His name is Graham Leach. He's a retired clergyman who is from Edinburgh and lives, in fact, in the Dunfermline area. At the moment, we have a position vacant for a children and families worker. The communion roll in Queensferry Parish Church is around about 500 and Dalmeny 94. Our worshippers on a Sunday, Dalmeny, we have around about 25 to 35 people worshipping on a Sunday, and in Queensferry around about 100 to 120 over a couple of services. And there's a wide range of activities across both congregations. Our church teams, we have it's not seven, that's about 9 church teams. Each team has a team leader, and I happen to be the team leader for the pastoral team. Each team has a representative also from Dalmeny Church. We meet as team leaders every couple of months in a forum. And our forum is very definitely, it's for discussion and for ideas sharing. And any decisions that have to be made are made by our congregational board or our Kirk session. We have a church vision. Next slide. You'll see our minister there on the top left of the screen with his binoculars looking out. Our church vision is about growing wider, deeper and closer. And I'd like to stress as well that this is probably our vision for our pastoral team as well. With growing wider, with our links with other churches, our community links, and involvement within community projects, and we're looking at fresh expressions of church also. With deeper, we are thinking about growing deeper in our faith, and closer to one another within our church, and closer to one another in our links with other churches and community involvement. Our pastoral team, we have 9 members of our team. The team is very much made up of interested people within our congregation. We have 4 pastoral visitors who are members of our team. We have 3 elders, and we also have a member of Dalmeny Church as well who is part of our team also. The pastoral visitors meet weekly with the ministerial team to share and identify the visits that are needed, discuss previous visits made, and also provide support for one another. We have a confidential list of names of those requiring visits, those in hospital, care homes, the ill, the bereaved, the isolated, and the elderly. Most of our visits at the moment are perhaps to more elderly members of the congregation or to those who have been bereaved. And we encourage our links with our elders as well, where if elders have got people that they feel within their districts require some pastoral support, that those names are passed to the pastoral team or the pastoral visitors, and vice versa. If we're going out visiting people, the aim is that we link up with the elders so as there's shared information. So what do we do? What are the projects that we're involved in? Obviously, our pastoral visitors have the individuals that they're visiting. We do timed visits after a bereavement. Our ministerial team do the initial bereavement visit, and then 6 weeks after, the ministerial team will visit again. There's a 6-month visit by one of our pastoral visitors, and after a year, there's either a visit or a card, or what we do is we link with our elders as well to see if they have been visiting. Obviously, some of our visits are to those that are members of our congregation, and others are just community visits also. We provide home communion. Well, I don't, obviously, but the ministerial team provide home communion where needed or requested. We have birthday cards for children up to 3 who've been baptised or blessed. Like all congregations, I know there's church flowers and they're distributed. We have a little group of people who are willing to do gardening for those that are needy as well. We're developing links with Safe Families. Safe Families is a volunteer organisation with very strong Christian values, and they work hand in hand with children's services to support vulnerable families. And we have 2 people within our congregation who are developing links with Safe Families. We also recently, Graham Leach has supported us with developing resources and a toolbox for our pastoral visitors, including prayer cards, reading materials, and teaching resources. One of the main parts of, or one of the key things that we have developed recently is a bereavement group. Our bereavement group, we made links with Tom Gordon, who is a retired clergyman from Edinburgh that many of you maybe will know and have contact with, and we use his Stepping Stones model. We've got 6 sessions that we provide for individuals with sort of different topics and speakers on each session. The topics include things like having people to talk about their personal experiences, people who are going through that journey and who are maybe, I was going to say coming out the other side. That's not what I mean. I mean where they have. They're a little bit further along the journey than the people that are actually coming to our group. We have a doctor, come to talk about health matters. We have somebody talking about the bereavement journey. We have somebody coming to do financial and legal matters. And we also have somebody who talks about socialisation and the way ahead. And this is very definitely a community resource. We're changing our venue this time round. We're going to run one after the summer, and we're going to take it right into the heart of the community and do it actually in the Hawes Inn, in a section of the Hawes Inn. Our aim is that it should be open to absolutely everyone within our community, and we want to make it as accessible as possible. It's run by our 2 churches, Dalmeny and Queensferry, and we've also we've got recent links with Kirkliston, and they're coming on board to support us with this as well. As I say, it's run jointly with other local churches and also with the support of our undertakers and registrar also. We will share our faith if it's asked of us, but we don't. It's not something that we deliberately focus on within our sessions. We're going to, this time round, we're going to actually provide a 7th session, which is much more about religious perspectives and the Christian perspective on death and dying. So that'll be an optional session that we're going to do at the end. We've got a few new initiatives that we're hoping to start. After the bereavement group, we've had get-togethers with those that have already been through our groups. But what we're going to set up, we're hoping to do is a supper club, to invite people to attend a supper club should they be interested. We also, one of our new things, we're going to be organising an afternoon tea for those over 80 who struggle to make it to church. The focus is on the afternoon tea, but there will be a little communion service towards the end. We're also exploring materials for working with young families and are hoping to use the Care for the Families Parent Talk material. We're also hoping to expand our pastoral team and visits to include visits for younger families and parents in need. Okay, final slide really is about how we identify the right people for the tasks and the jobs, and also a little bit about learning and teaching and how we do that as well. The identifying the right people, our minister tends to, he's a very, very active individual. If anybody knows David, they'll know exactly what I mean when I say that. And he gets to know the people within his parish. So it tends to be an invitation from the minister. He knows people well, and he will invite people when he feels they have the pastoral gifts. I know he uses the SHAPE seminar about thinking about your spiritual gifts, where your heart is, what your individual abilities are, what your personality is, and also what your life experiences have been. We look for, obviously, good communicators and listeners, and those that are caring, interested in others, and some have a bit of a professional background as well. As far as learning and teaching, our pastoral visitors, they have a monthly breakfast and book study to help them to grow deeper and to develop their faith. They all get together, I know, on an annual away day, which takes place at the Beeld Centre. We also have done dementia awareness training, evening workshops, in order to try and develop our skills in that particular area. This is open to anybody that's interested in this kind of work. We did quite a bit of training, again, when we were developing our bereavement support groups. We invited speaker to come and sort of take us through a day's training on bereavement, and also being a good listener as well. One of the other things I've missed out from the slides as well, one of the other things that we try to do as well, we have we have 3 individuals, one from Dalmeny and 2 from our church, who will provide some support for our ministerial team and also pastoral visitors, because we feel that this is an exceptional, this is extremely important to provide some support for our ministers and also for the pastoral team. So they meet at regular intervals to I suppose, just provide a forum for raise for the ministers or the pastoral visitors to raise any concerns and to be supported in the work that they do. Thank you.